Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is Leading Off, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. It's me, Joey P, Joe Pizzapia, and with me today, as always, is the Welsh, Chris Welsh, and it's you, the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. And today we're getting closer and closer to the All-Star break, but there's a rebound, a resurfacing, if you will, of Chris Sale. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the Mets-Braves series and how hot that's going to be. We also got Yankees-Red Sox closing out. So I feel like the schedulers did a very good job this year of creating a little heat here in July, right before the All-Star break. Welsh, what do you think about the schedule?
Almost like they knew what they were doing. Almost like they planned it perfectly. I like it. Yeah, no, as it should be. These are the type of thing. I mean, obviously, in parity of these sports, you can't predict when a team's going to completely fall apart or anything like that. But they do a pretty good job of knowing where teams are going to go and creating a pretty good schedule. I like it.
I like this too. Mr. Buster's back today. He's finally tuning in this work. He's been out, I guess, unavailable to watch the show. He missed all the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks, but a break for me was nice. This is what happens. You give somebody a hat, you let them win the contest.
I know, Mr. Buster.
And then,
Joe picked you. Joe picked
they
you.
Turn on you.
Look how colorful we are, by the way. Look how colorful we are with the colors. Yeah.
Very murky. I got my red zone. They got the fancy blues behind me. All kinds
I feel like
of stuff going on.
We're like the background profile pictures of the fantasy footballers. We're just like a bright color and then our head. It's fun. We're having fun.
All right, let's talk about Chris Sale. He did hit the K prop over the 4.5. He got the 5. Huzzah. Chris Sale blanks the Rays in the season debut, so he was very good out of the gate, as we were talking about. These guys come back. They're ready to go. Playoff time, basically, right here. You're making playoff pushes in the second half. It's go time. Chris Sale is the big addition here for the Red Sox in the second half. Logan Webb strikes out 8 over 6 scoreless innings. Cole had 11 strikeouts, 7 shutout frames, so it didn't matter because Clay Holmes finally bit the big one. Gave up 4 runs in the loss. So, look, it was bound to happen. I mean, you can't be perfect every time, but certainly a little bit of a kick here for the Yankee bullpen. Do you think the rumblings begin now about when Chapman is, 100%, let's go back to Chapman 100% of the time?
Yeah, I'm confused by where they're going to go with it outside of just amassing trades and getting more bullpen arms. Probably to get a third guy in there to join in the rotation. The other day they brought in Aroldis in the 5th, I think it was, or 6th inning. And Clay decimating here is what makes me sad because, I've been like big team, top 10 closer, Clay Holmes rest of year. And if Chapman struggled at all, he would take this absolute implosion. I think an implosion enough that it would push the Yankees to not anoint anything. They just go back to what's simple, Aroldis Chapman, and then you could go in and make an acquisition. Yeah, today is I like that Dr. Glenn is associated when I don't have my hat. I might lash out on somebody. Just
look at this GQ picture of Dr. Glenn too. Like he's like literally on the cover of GQ. You just got like the finely
colors.
Yeah, that's true. He is kind of representing. And Bizarroza Jizza chiming in too. The Mets offense has me concerned. Me too. They certainly need. The problem is when Alonso's not driving in runs or he's in the slump, and he is right now. That's what happens. But look, it was a good game there yesterday. I got to watch Strider pitch a lot. And, it's the first time outside of really highlights I've gotten to really sit and watch him pitch. And I do feel like he is better suited to the bullpen. I think he's a guy that can come in, just blow people away in the bullpen. I don't know as a starting pitcher, if that's going to be his future. I really don't. And I'm just saying this out loud.
Why? Because of the inconsistencies of like throwing strikes?
But also watching him mechanically. He's a smaller guy too. He's not like one of these big guys throwing 100 miles an hour. I just feel like modern day baseball, watching him mechanically, watching what he does, watching the size of him, watching the lack of, he didn't get a long run at Clemson, you know what I mean? Because of the COVID stuff and all the things that were going on there. So it wasn't like he had this big body of work to really build in on. There's something about him that I wonder if maybe he is a fantastic sell high in dynasty leagues right now. Not to say that it can't be a good pitcher, but I wonder if the looming great potential makes him worth more than he might actually be in reality. Do you think I'm off base there?
I don't think you're off base. I mean, I think some of those concerns were there with him, but I think he is throwing, he's throwing strikes and getting strikeouts at an elite clip. He's striking out. I haven't even looked at what his K per 9 is. I have to assume it's something around
148. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's some ridiculous amount. But his biggest concern is, does he get wild? Does he stop throwing strikes? And does he start walking guys? That's the worry. It's not about swinging and missing. It's not about the arsenal. It's that. And he's answered that to a pretty good degree this year. I think he has a chance to be a really, really elite strikeout starting pitcher. And I could see where you would want to sell on him. And I wouldn't kill anybody for doing it, but I'm pretty high on him, especially because here's the other deal. A guy that can strike out at that clip, the least you're going to get to be able to stay in the rotation and continue going is going to be really high. You're striking out 8 or 9 a game. This isn't like some small stint thing. They need to do whatever they can to keep him in there. You know, I mean, the Diamondbacks went through this a long time ago with Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley coming out of Oklahoma. Hey, he only had 2 or 3, 14 K per nine. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
That's a reliever K per nine. And I watched him yesterday too. You know,
as a starter, by the way.
Yeah,
it's a reliever K per nine as a starter.
Right. I mean, I guess I look at. I don't know. I look at the stuff, like I said, I look at the frame, I look at all that stuff, and it just feels like this is a guy that is going to be, it's going to go one of two ways. I think that if they make him a starter, and that seems to be what they really want to do deep down in Atlanta, I think they're going to regret it. I think it's going to be one of those things that if they just made him this elite, ridiculous Craig Kimbrell-esque bullpen guy for the next 6 years in Atlanta, then he would be just miraculously good and fantastic. I don't know. I'm just a little bit worried. And I love the mustache. Love the velocity. Love everything about it.
Let me ask you this. Yesterday's start, Chris Sale, obviously good under the numbers. He only got 4 total swing and misses in that game. No whiffs at all on his changeup. Slider looked pretty good. Vila was up. Would you rather have Chris Sale or Spencer Strider in Dynasty?
Oh, in Dynasty,
Sale's older. Well, no, but Sale is older. But I mean, I'm also worried that
Sale is maybe on the downside of his career. So I'm going to say Strider. Rest of season, I thought is what you were going to ask me. Now, rest of season, that's an interesting conversation.
No, that's the next one. Yeah, that's
rest of season. Sale is who I'd rather have because I think the Red Sox are in it. I think the Red Sox have shown you they're committed to winning, and I think the Red Sox and Chris Sale. I mean, look, Sale has earned that respect for me, and Strider's still an unknown. So I know that's probably an unpopular opinion. Everybody loves the moment right now, and Strider is very talented. I'm not trying to take away. I'm not saying he's bad. But like I said, watching him pitch, not the velocity, but watching him pitch, I feel like his stuff translates so well to being a dominant 9th inning guy, as opposed to one of these 5 inning, 4 2/3, I'm going to strike out 8 guys kind of starting pitchers. I just, that's what I see the difference between those two guys.
Here's one thing I would add with you as well, which works in your favor of this. And this is where you have to see the development. Is I really just don't believe in these 2-pitch pitchers. Patrick Corbin is a perfect example of someone who fell
Chris
apart.
Paddock was a 2-pitch pitcher. You always hated for years, I remember.
But he had to redevelop. You've got to redevelop into throwing more. He's throwing essentially 95% of his pitches are a fastball or slider. He's got a 5% changeup right now. That has to change. The same thing is going on with any of these guys. Hunter Green has been readjusting. He's a 68% fastball guy because the fastball has been absolutely elite. The slider elite. But when you got walk problems like he does, he's a 26th percentile walk, which is not good. His obviously whiffs and everything are elite. You've got to be able to mix in. So what I want to see from a developmental standpoint is to add a real true third pitch or a fourth pitch if you need to. Whatever you can do. If you only want to throw your changeup 5 or 6% of the time, get something else in there so you've got that mix. So the slider and fastball are under maybe 85% of the time, and then play around with those. That'll be the maturation, which I think makes him an elite pitcher. If not, I don't know. But he just reminds me a lot of Dylan Cease without the 2 elite plus pitches like Cease has with the secondary arsenal. It is just 2 big main pitches with Strider, and that's it. Cease had 2 plus pitches and secondaries with some command issues and elite strikeouts, and those are very
Cease a while.
And it did.
Cease had a lot of control issues for a while.
And Strider could have some ups and downs, and I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, let's move on here. The Orioles, 9 in a row. How about them apples? Pretty outstanding.
44 and 44 now. That's pretty incredible.
The entire American League East, we'll talk about that in a little bit, is 500 or above, which is pretty miraculous considering how good those teams are. You think somebody would be beating up on someone. Matt Olson hit the go-ahead home run for the Braves to go past the Mets yesterday. Freddie Freeman homered as well. And Jose Barrios, there you go, Jekyll and Hyde, 13 strikeouts for Jose Barrios. So there you go. But who knows? Could be, Jose Barrios is like that can in the grocery store that like the label's fallen off, and you have no idea what it is. It could be peas, could be corn, could be baked beans. No idea what it is. That's
And
my
if you're like
feelings
me,
on
you
Zach Wilson.
immediately pull the label off. The label has to go. The amount of labels I pull off of like water bottles and stuff, it's just a tick. It has to go.
Are you one of those people where you just sit
Yeah.
there and you scratch the water bottle?
Not all the time, but like if I'm kind of hanging out with a bottle, I'm probably going to pull the label off at some point. That's very likely.
Fair enough. All right. Injuries. Mike Trout was pulled with back spasms. Ugh, gross. This is not good news. Miami's Garrett Cooper has x-rays turn up clean on the knee, so that's a good story. Trevor Story, not so good of a story, though. He was hit on the hand, exited yesterday's game. Starling Marte out of the lineup again today. No surprise there. We'll see what happens. I want to talk about the Trevor Story one, though, because hit on the hand. I haven't seen anything yet. Have you seen any updates yet on Trevor Story and that hand issue?
I haven't seen anything this morning.
Okay. I did see, though, yesterday after the show that we did that Freddie Peralta is moving and progressing forward. He feels 100%. And that's very, very important for the Milwaukee Brewers and very important for all the fantasy folks out there, too. Julio Rodriguez, by the way, also serving his suspension also. So just throwing that out there. Also, Christian Yelich remains out of the lineup for the Brewers with his back issues continuing. And the Brewers also sent Keston Hiura down to AAA. One of the fun things last night, Keston. I don't know if you saw this, was Miguel Cabrera. They had to give him a day off today because yesterday he stole second, and then on attempt to steal third, he ended up scoring, and it was fantastic.
Did you see his quote? Did you see his quote?
I didn't.
Oh man, I wish I had it here right now, but he essentially, I don't know if I'll be able to find it quick enough, but they asked him about that. There were a couple of quotes, actually one we can't say from AJ Hinch what he thought about it, but he said in the back of his mind, he was just thinking about how Ricky said that, like, when you go, you just got to go and you don't think about it. And that's what he said. He's like, I've been thinking about that and I just had to go and not think about it. I love that Miguel Cabrera was thinking about Ricky Henderson while he was on second base. Give me a break.
Well, I mean, you got to think about something. I mean, he had time to think about a lot of players by the time it gets from first to second for Miguel Cabrera. He could think about the entire encyclopedia. This is a fun one from Paul in our chat. Trevor Story had one good week this year, and the rest of it has sucked. That about says it all. I think that's a little hyperbolic, but the feeling and intention is right.
It's pretty close. I mean,
it's a little hyperbolic, but that's okay. But that's all right. We're going to talk about other things today. It's time to talk about right and wrong. I did mine yesterday, the players that I was very much in on going into this year, the two that I was most right, the two that I was most wrong. So Welsh, today, let's start off with the players you are most wrong about.
Yeah.
And who are those two guys?
I will tell you, I'll tell you, I don't know about anybody else. And I'd be curious with you, Joe. I get so hyper-focused. So I went back and looked at my overall list ranks. I've been adjusting my position player ranks, and that kind of helped me a little bit. When you go and look at them, I get so focused on the wrong. I can't even focus on the right. I just don't even process it. I'm just like, yeah, that guy should be there. He should be there. And then you see the ones that are wrong, and they're in your face, and you can't stop looking at them. The two that jump out to me when I took a look, because there's just lots of names I think you can choose from. One, probably the biggest, is Cody Bellinger. I made the cases that he had made some swing changes in the offseason. Maybe he had stopped a few things that were going on in the past, if you know what I'm saying. Changing the approach, changing, how he was going to be. Nothing has changed whatsoever. I was a rebuy back in. Though his counting stats are actually pretty good. I think if I remember correctly, it's 11 homers, 11 stolen bases, but hitting 210 or something. It's garbage. I was wrong about him. Regardless of the counting stats, he didn't change. The other one was my kind of ending of the year or ending of the draft season jump on Wander Franco. Even take away the injury, it still doesn't look good. He had one good month, kind of like Trevor Story did, where, Story had this big explosive week. Wander had the March-April push where he had a majority of his homers. He hit over 300. And then with his injuries, he also just was a nothing burger. I mean, even if he were to play the rest of the season, he looks like he's at best a 15-15 guy. That progression didn't happen yet. So I think those were my two big wrong-os, though I do think there is a gray area player, Byron Buxton, because
he's an all-star. He's got 22 bombs.
He's a gray area because his average is the worst.
Terrible. Yeah.
But his counting stat homers amazing.
Less than thrilling.
He has half the stolen bases that Kyle Schwarber has, and the homers are
That's
incredible.
a great way of putting it.
So
I love that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right.
How many does Miguel Cabrera have now?
Buxton has only one more than Miguel Cabrera. That's a better way to put that. So
all right,
take that for what it is. On the right, I picked two pitchers that I was really, really aggressive on. And I also think you can put in here the right on closers, on paying on the high end, like Clase. That was one that I had probably higher than anybody, and I think that paid. But the two pitchers I was really high on, Zach Gallen coming at a incredibly cheap cost and has been, relatively positively efficient, and Joe Musgrove. Musgrove, that was we did mocks on here.
Fans of Musgrove going into the
year. Yeah, it was gotta have Musgrove, and now you're looking at him as a easy, top 50 overall.
He was the alternate.
Better.
He was the guy that we said, look, why are we going for big time early pitching when there's Alcantara, when there's Musgrove, when there's McClanahan? There was a whole grouping, and they were all on that same ADP. If you recall, you could get like two of those guys for a really good cost, as opposed to trying to go with a DeGrom or a Scherzer or any of these top guys that were out there. Big news breaking, by the way. The Blue Jays have fired Charlie Montoya, manager.
Really?
So there you go. That's according to The Athletic and Ken Rosenthal's bow tie. Apparently confirmed the story. So Tony La Russa, not the next manager to be fired. Shocking. Nobody's more surprised than Tony La Russa. But Charlie Montoya is out. The Blue Jays have underperformed. There's no doubt about that. And your thoughts, you seem surprised by this.
No, I'm not. Feelings? I'm not surprised. I think I said this a little while back. Like, they should fire their hitting coach. Yeah, I mean, what is going on with Bichette's fall and Vlad's fall and the struggles they had with like a team-wide struggle with sliders, and like the hitting just seems completely off. There's some that I don't know. I would blame any inconsistencies on pitching or anything like that, but the hitting has been wildly weird. And I guess I see it. You just sometimes you look at these and it's like, I don't know. I feel like with Montoya, maybe they would have just kind of, I don't know, taken out a couple coaches and see if they could change that. But that's a little surprising. How are we in a world where Tony La Russa is still just walking around, just mumbling around with this gig, and all of these other, how many managers have we now had fired? Is that the third manager that's not named Tony La Russa this year?
Joe Girardi, Joe Madden is also the first non-Joe fired this year. No matter what Mr. Buster might want, I am still here. I'm going no place. But yeah, I mean, that's look, man, expectations. This is the difference. It's easy to be the young team chasing. You're the upstart Blue Jays, and all of a sudden this year you are the team that has expectations. And the Yankees have really just pulled away from the field. And look, and this is something we were going to talk about. So let's talk about the fun fact: the AL East is 500 or better. The Orioles are 44 and 44. The Blue Jays are 46 and 42. Then you have the Red Sox with 47 wins, the Rays with 47 wins. So I mean, they're right there keeping pace. But the problem is, it doesn't feel like it, which is, I guess, the problem. And the Orioles, right now you're closer to the Orioles than you are the Yankees. I think that's a little bit of a disappointment. I never know if firing the manager is the way to go, but I guess, hey, is what it is at this point.
I think there's, little to none on the managers at the end of the day for me. They do make that in call, but they're supposed to be in a rah-rah position, and they're supposed to be able to coach up the coaches and coach up the players as they can. And that's where La Russa loses me, because he just sits around on a golf cart and just kind of dallies around and stuff like that, when at least I saw him in spring training. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the move. Maybe it'll be a jump start. Maybe there's a bench coach in there that the team is going to get rah-rah about if he gets the spot, the interim spot. But okie doke, pre-All-Star game, fire your manager. Got it.
Yeah, kind of absurd there. Corey Seager's also been kind of absurd. Corey Seager was the 9th Ranger to hit a home run in 5 straight games, which was kind of a fun stat. So that was a fun fact I threw in there. He has been on fire over the last 6 games, hitting 364 with a 1045 slugging. That's the slugging percentage. It's been unbelievable for him. One of the great buy lows. In fact, he was one of the guys that I remember doing the Trevor Story video about, and the sell highs and saying, hey, go sell him right now for Corey Seager, and you can probably get Corey Seager plus because he's struggling so much. Hope you made that trade. Shane Bieber also, fun fact, first complete game last night since 2019. That's been a long time for the Bieber. What are your expectations for the Biebs in the second half, Welsh?
I don't understand the Biebs. The Biebs, velo dips, spin loss. I mean, it looked like he was the ultimate sell, get out of this. he is an anomaly, but he is that thing that I've talked about in the past where it's like you look at the Kershaws or the Verlanders, as you get older, you're readjusting. But I think Bieber's like 27 years old, 26 or 27. So something happened in him. The change started much earlier. So instead of it being in the 30, the velo dip and the stuff dip happened at a much earlier age, and he's adjusted magnificently. So I don't know, as much as I've been kind of sell on him, maybe move out, I don't know if you can have any other expectation than him continuously making it happen. So I think he's firmly out. Oh man, this is just off the top of my head. I want to say he's firmly out of the top 10 SPs, and I don't really think he has the upside to get there, but I think he can sit in that like 12 to 20 range of starting pitchers. He's just, he's fine. He goes deeper into games. That team is winning. He's a great pitcher. He's a great pitcher that defies the statistical odds. He defies what he's the savant defier.
Defier.
Killer. Defier. Yeah, there you go.
Stroke?
I have a stroke, mid-stroke on the podcast.
He deflowers the savant. What's going on? All right, here's
what's
Cooper.
Happening here?
Cooper's back with a question because he has a head-to-head points league, and he was here. What's up, fellas? Don't know if you remember, but I asked about DeGrom trade. The guy sent over a counter, Trout and J-Rod for Luis Robert, Sale, DeGrom, Castillo, Wander. I got to keep Strider. So look,
wait,
if you're trading, I'm trying to figure this out. So if you're trading Trout and Julio, and you're getting Robert, Sale, DeGrom, Castillo, and Wander Franco, that's a lot. I mean, look, Welsh, from a keeper, I don't know if it's a keeper league, but it's head-to-head points. I want the pitchers. I mean, this is not even close. I want DeGrom, and I want Sale, and I want Castillo, and I hope that Robert straightens himself out, and I hope that Wander gets right. I mean, that's a lot.
This had to be something when I wasn't here, because it says I don't remember this. I don't. But
either way, in a points league, you want the pitchers. I mean, this is easy, Coop. That's an easy one.
Today
in baseball history.
Oh yeah, you said that.
Today in baseball history, 1999, one of the great All-Star moments ever. Boston's Pedro Martinez pitched himself into the record book, becoming the first to strike out, the first four hitters in an All-Star game. He struck out Barry Larkin, Hall of Fame, Larry Walker, Hall of Fame, Sammy Sosa should be in the Hall of Fame, and Mark McGwire to start the next inning should be in the Hall of Fame. So there you go. And he actually ended up striking out 5 of the first 6 guys he faced. 1999, Pedro Martinez, for those of you who weren't old enough or weren't watching baseball at the time, that was a special thing. It was a time to be alive. 99 Pedro. Take McClanahan and Verlander and all those guys who were pitching so well this year, crumple them up, and it still doesn't even get close to what Pedro was, in my opinion. He was straight dominant.
Just some of the best pitchers in history. Guys just roided up. I mean, it was the best. It was like video games. It was like putting video game on rookie and just watching them go.
Yeah, what are the stats on Pedro? Since Mike Mayer's taking a day off here, maybe we can get maybe Wonka can get us the 1999 quiet. Pedro Martinez stat line. That's what I want to see, Wonky. See if you can grab that for me. I want to flash it on the screen. You got it? Oh, you got it. I'll see if I can flash it anyway, but go ahead.
1999, 313 strikeouts in 213 games. That was actually the most strikeouts he's ever had in a season. That is wild. He played 31 innings where his win, 23 wins, a 23-4 record. That is bonkers.
The 300. Guess what was the K per 9 rate?
So check this out. This is my favorite thing of all of it. Yeah, I'll give that to you. With 313 strikeouts, guess how many walks he had?
I'm gonna say 42.
37 walks, and it was a 13.2 K per 9 as a starter.
Wait, so what's that K to walk ratio then? If it was 300 something to 30 something, I can't do that math.
I would love. I know I'm on Baseball Reference. I'd love to see what the walk minus strikeout percentage would look like.
Like I said, 99
and a sub 1 whip and a sub 1. Of course, he has a sub 1 whip, and he only walked that many. Those are nasty, ridiculous numbers.
Unbelievable. Like I said, everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's dominating," or I'm like, "No." There's 99 Pedro Martinez and everybody else, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've ever seen in my whole life.
It's recency because we're talking about this. Is that the most dominant fantasy, like statistical season from a starting pitcher?
From a starting pitcher, I think fantasy wise. I mean, from a pitcher period, I'm sure there'll be people who throw the Sandy Koufax moments, but the fantasy wasn't involved then.
I don't know,
So
but think of modern
fantasy-wise,
baseball.
modern baseball fantasy wise. Yeah, dude. I mean, a 99 Pedro, I think, is the greatest.
23 wins in 29 games started. He played 31, started 29 games, won 23 of them with 300 strikeouts, a sub-1 whip, a 13+ K per nine. Find me a pitcher that has more ridiculous numbers than that.
The FIP was 1.39. The K per nine was 13, and the walk to 9 walks per 9.
I'm looking at that 1.9. That's nuts.
What's the ratio? The K to walk ratio. That's the one I want to know. In the meantime, here's a little trivia for you before we get to the heroes and zeros. The youngest player to win an MVP award is who? Who is the youngest player to ever win an MVP? Just drop the answer if you think you know it in the chat. I'm sure everyone's hitting the Google machine. Whatever.
Chris Bryant?
No, it is not Chris Bryant. I'll give you a hint. It was in the 70s. It was in the 70s, but a player that you should know with a cool name. There you go. All right, here are the stat heroes from last night. Garrett Cole, 11 Ks and 7. Shane Bieber, complete game, 1 earned run, missed the shutout. Logan Webb, 6 innings, no earned, 8 Ks. Luis Garcia, 7 Ks and 6. Dylan Cease, again, 9 Ks, 5 2/3. The guy's been money, baby. Jose Barrios, unbelievable, 13 Ks. Yerman Mercedes, 3 for 4 with a dinger. You'll get a Yerman watch. We mentioned Freddie Freeman at the top, 4 for 5 with a homer. Tario Estrada, 2 home runs yesterday. Sean Murphy, 4 for 5. Luis Robert, 3 for 4 with a homer. Ledmus Diaz had a homer as well. Lourdes Gurriel at a 4 for 4. He's in my sell high video this week coming out. Telling you right now, just he can't sustain this. It's been too great for Gurriel. It's going to go backwards. It's just he's not an elite player. He's a good player. He's not elite. Sell. Jorge Polanco, 2 for 3 with a homer, and Marcus Semien, 2 for 6 with a homer, and Trey Turner, 2 for 4 with a homer. Let's see if anybody's got some oil can. Boyd is not the correct answer. Neither is Frank Robinson. That would not be in the. It could be.
You said a fun name.
It's a fun name. Frank Robinson is not a fun name.
That's
about name. Like as vanilla as it gets. All right, Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. Mitch White. It's not like Mitch Connor, like when Cartman does that.
Mitchell White.
I'm Mitch Connor. I love that. I love that Mitch Connor villain. Cartman's fan. It's so fantastic. 5 innings, 6 earned. Mike Clevenger, 4 earned runs and 5. Dallas Keuchel, boy, oh boy. Dallas Keuchel should have just stayed at home. I don't know why he came back to try to pitch.
I can't share the text that Bogman had with me about that. We had a text chain about Dallas Keuchel, and I can't share it, and it's not great.
Can you change the word F to flowers and read it to us?
No, I don't even think the word. I don't even think the changing of that's going to help anything. So I'm gonna have to pass. Right. I'm gonna have to pass, Joe.
Mike Clevenger. We are going to see great Mike Clevenger again. Do you think?
Not this season. I don't think so. I mean, he showed some electric stuff in spring. He showed a few games where it's popped off. He's inconsistent, and I don't think it's this year. Too far. Too close removed, I believe, from his injury that if we're going to see it, it's just not going to be this season because he's got to string it off. That's the thing. It's not about one game with him. You got to get like that 5 or 6 old school Mike Clevenger, and I just don't think he has that this year.
What about next year? You think he comes? Is he like a?
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Because you see signs of it.
All right, the answer is here. David Hansen has it. Look at him.
Vita Blue.
David Hansen's got it. Vita Blue. Yabba dee yabba da. Who won not only the Cy Young, but the MVP. He was 21 years old. Not bad. Not bad there. Pretty good for Vita Blue. All right, let's get to the next grouping here. The loser hitters. Pete Alonso 0 for 3, 3 Ks. Derek Hall 0 for 4, 3. Ryan Mountcastle 5 with 3. Now we know why Mayor's not here today. Now we have.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there. Now it all makes sense. Tim Anderson and Eloy Jimenez 1 for 8 with 3 Ks. I'm losing patience with Eloy. Only 4 home run calls last night. Correct. Not good. One of them was Joey Bart with the walking.
Wow. I mean, that deserves like maybe a 10, a 10 boost.
You should get like 10 for that one. But so the board is the board. Board is the same as yesterday's board. So hopefully today is a better night for that. Let's get to the betting props at bettingpros.com. And let's talk BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. You can bet $10, win $200 whenever you use the promo code leading off at BetMGM. Download the app, go to betmgm.com, bet responsibly, and bet with the promo code leading off. It's one word, leading off. Tonight's a good night for some more K props. Joe Ryan, 4.5 on DK. Like the over there is minus 150. Joe Musgrove at 5.5, plus 125 on DK. What? Run. I don't care if it's in Colorado. Run. Do it. Joe Musgrove over the plus 5.5. Excuse me, the 5.5 with a plus 125. Zach Wheeler, 5.5 on FanDuel is minus 120 against Toronto. And then Christian Javier is at 6.5 against the Angels. Without Mike Trout in that lineup, I like this even more. The juice is 140, but still. Welsh, you were in on the Musgrove one too, and you actually found a better one than the 5.5.
I did. Actually, BetMGM
there you
had
go.
it at
That's why they're the king of sports books.
4.5. Get out of here with that stuff. I mean, he had one strikeout game. I'm taking that. That's probably the number one bet of the day. Lockdown McClanahan is there though. It's at 7.5 against Boston. You can argue that, this might be the game he doesn't do it, but my whole shtick is just always play McClanahan and you're going to come out on top. So 7.5, I'm going to play it. And Trey Turner, I like this one. Trey Turner total bases today. If you are digging around on BVP at all, he's got a really good track record versus Adam Wainwright, a 400 record with 9 hits and 22 at bats. You got a couple doubles in there. And the total base marker is minus 115. So I'm going to take Trey Turner 1.5 total bases against Wainwright, minus 115. So Musgrove, McClanahan, and Turner.
All right. Tonight over on DK, looking at the DFS slate. Look, McClanahan's going to be very chalky. He's expensive. He's 10K. You could save $400 and go to Musgrove in Colorado in tournaments and be very oppo and pair that with Lucas Giolito or John Gray, who John Gray's been on a nice run lately, in case you haven't noticed, last couple starts. Or you could put Giolito and Gray together and then just pay up for offense. That's my approach tonight. I think just McClanahan's going to be super chalky. Or the other guy you could put in there instead of Musgrove is Christian Javier. Do a couple different lineups because 9.3 for Javier, 9.6 for Musgrove. I fade away from McClanahan because it's so chalk. It's just a lot. And that, again, I always worry about the win equity because that offense is just bleh. Luis Severino, 9.3 over on FanDuel. It's a pretty good safe cash game guy over on FD. Lucas Giolito 9.1, Javier at 9.7. That's kind of where I would go if you want to get a little crazy with Musgrove if you can, but it's more expensive. You got to get into the high 10s there and forget it. McClanahan's 11 on FanDuel. That's why I'm not even going to mention him tonight. DK lineup builder, CJ Abrams, just 2K, free square. Eric Hosmer, 2K, free square. Again, in Colorado. Go for it. Why not? Bryson Stott, 2.8. CJ Abrams on FanDuel, 2.5. Jorge Alfaro, 2.8. Bryson Stott, 2.1. San Diego, obviously, a stack I like tonight, along with the Yankees. Also, I'm going with Aaron Judge again. He just pinch hit yesterday, so I didn't really get my Aaron Judge. So I'm going today with Aaron Judge because one more, and I get a set of steak knives, and I also get back on the board. Welsh, where are you going with your home run call for tonight?
Oh, I'll do the mayor bit. I'll do the BVP, highest BVP of the day, homers. Giancarlo Stanton on Mike Minor has 4 career homers in 23 at-bats with over 300 batting average, and I will take Stanton to just try to kickstart something.
Andrew bringing a good stat here. Trout has a 50% K rate in July. Is that true? Is that true, Mike Trout? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's the Angels, man. Nothing goes right for the Angels. I feel like Shohei Ohtani's the only thing they can do right. And even that seems wrong because
you see the record too. It's some insane. I think it was like 10-30 or something since Madden has been gone. The Angels have gone. It has just been.
Joe Madden was not the problem. The roster construction has been the problem for years, and the lack of talent coming through that organization has been a problem for years, especially in the pitching side. I mean, just terrible. But yeah, Andrew's got it right here. 18 Ks and 36 at-bats. Oof, baby, that ain't good. And now a back injury. Oh, I don't want to leave on a sour note, so let's not. Instead, let's hope that Aaron Judge hits 3 home runs today. And that'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.